These next videos are going to be just to get these remaining from the ramble of 2018 that I just couldn't get around to before now, or just didn't bother to. Either way, so if you're not interested in these things beyond whatever is listed in the thumbnail, by all means, just steer clear. These videos aren't for you, and so on and so forth. And without any further ado, so I think the next part that I want to talk about in this thing that is going to become an annual thing at best, at worst, I suppose, is, because, well, namely, I'm going to have to delete an an unfathomable amount of just dead space where I am just dead silent trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to say next into this fucking mic. I don't know. Yeah, it's just stupid. But anyways, so by all means, if you think this is going to be a trend, if you still think it's going to become a trend, like, it's going to be, it's November 29th right now. 2019, around November 29th is the time you're going to get the second edition of this. And because it's so long, I will have to hold back my inner perfectionist, which is pretty much what fucks me in the ass every time. But not only that, in the last video, it's not just finding the clips that I want to include, putting all of this effort into it. Even though what I just said, it's going to be there for a split second. And it's like, you are going to have to pause the video if you're going to get anywhere close to, quote-unquote, appreciating the time and effort. Yeah, the time and effort, sure, why not? It's not that much, but it's definitely, I definitely went through the effort when I didn't have to. Which is why these videos take so long, once again. But, whatever. So, I'm not sure if I was planning on segueing into something else. I don't think I was going to segue into anything there. But for the most part, Anyways, so there's this, trying to remember the things that I was going to talk about. Well, I was definitely going to talk about Let's Go, but I think I was going to talk about something else. And it's not going to be that much, honestly. I just hope it's not going to be that much. Definitely got to talk about Junichi Masuda, because not only is he the director of this game, but this is his final game that he is directing. The final game officially that he's directed. Or rather, I honestly think that this is the final game that he will ever be director for in regards to a main series title. And you can say whatever you want, but Super Mystery Dungeon, that came out in 2015, the reason it didn't get so much exposure to it, the reason it didn't release worldwide on the same fucking day, is because it was made by a third party, Shunsoft, or Shunsoft Spike now. And my understanding for the most part is first party. If you have any, am I really going to get into the difference between first party, second party, and third party? Why not? First party, as I understand it, are developers that are completely owned by people like Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. Second party are partially owned, but not completely. And third party, they can publish on multiple platforms and so on and so forth. That's my understanding of it, or as much as I can recall in the bit of research that I did. Game Freak is kind of a second publisher, but because what was it? I think it was Bongo the Badass Elephant, and it was Timbo, you insufferable twat. Or was it Rambo the I can't remember, but The badass elephant, I can definitely remember. Didn't even play the game, it's just the title. But yeah, they made that game, and that wasn't just on Nintendo, so I would say that Game Freak is definitely second-party publisher by that standard. But when it comes to Pokemon, when they're the one who are developing the games, it's a main series game. Now, I'm still not convinced if Let's Go is going to get what I am dubbing, and I think this is genius because I'm a narcissist or something to that effect. Everyone's saying, Let's Go Pichu and Togepi or something to that effect. I'm going to go like, no. Let's chase Entei and Raikou. I can't believe I fucked that up. But come on, I'm sorry that I think that this is genius, but I just think it's genius, and I'm going like, a broken clock can be right twice a day, even when it's huffing its own farts. And there's no way, I assume from Game Freak, that someone is listening. Trademark that shit. But anyways. The sales figures of Let's Go. People are saying that it's a big deal that 3 million physical copies or something like that have been sold. There have just been so many holdouts who said that, no, I'm not going to get this over Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not going to get this over Smash Ultimate. And I'm not going to get this over possibly Kingdom Hearts, given the time that those two release. Yeah, there's Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. I think we'll have to wait until March, because supposedly only 15% of people who already have Switches supposedly have this game. And I just don't think that's a big enough of the pie that would warrant making the I call it the Let's series. Everyone says the Go series, and I'm going like, no. They can only do this for so long. They can remake Crystal, and that would work. They could remake Emerald, and that could also work. But then, the Platinum remake, they're out of duos. They're out of anything that could possibly work that isn't a split remake. And then when they get to, I don't know, the Black 2 and White 2 remakes, it's like, what the hell are they even going to do? Black 2 and White 2 is just such a strange thing compared to everything. And on top of that, they're not, like, what the hell are they going to do when they get to X and Y? There is no Z. Are they going to make a Z? I don't know. Sorry, my screen went black, and I was afraid that it was going to go to sleep, or at the very least the monitor shut off, and I thought, oh shit, this is going to stop recording as a result. Yeah, real personal talk you're gonna find littered throughout this. I'm pretty sure that counts as cringe, but hey. That's why you only get one every year, starting now. Anyways, my train of thought. But yeah, so unless they make a Z, I have no idea, and I am talking about to the future. Like, I would be talking 2033 or something along those lines. Mainly because there is no Z. At least yet. But, yeah. So, but I think that it's acceptable for it to be something along the lines of, not let's chase, let's find, or not let's follow, that doesn't work. That doesn't work off the tongue, roll off the tongue well enough. Let's follow? Did I say follow already? Yeah, I'm just in the worst place ever. No one's gonna, like, everyone who's listening to this, who was listening to this, if anyone, no one's, they've clicked off by now. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Either way, this video is gonna get made. And that's why I got the update out of the way immediately, because if you want to listen to me try to put together sentences and get to the point of the other things that I want to talk about, somehow, some way, well, keep listening. But other than that, yeah, I'm just talking to myself, and I will only be talking to myself on this issue. But obviously, I'm talking as if someone was actually listening. How about we get back on track? I better get to the point. Basically, it would be, let's. I had it the first time I ever thought of it, but I would say, let's find Latios and Latias, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire has definitely opened that door, because to get to Southern Island, you need to have mastered Mega Evolution. And the only thing that's on the Southern Island is, of course, Latias and Latias. And it's just weird that there seems to be this connection that we've only seen really in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And even then, it's like really, really loose. So, I don't know. But that's the closest you get. But after that, like, what the fuck are you gonna do? I like, Latios and Latios at least have this ambiguous connection thanks to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with Rayquaza. What on earth are you going to connect to Giratina that will make sense? I don't have an answer to that. I'm not even going to try. And that's honestly where I think, yeah, you bust out I think it was Let's Go Railu and Munchlax or something to that effect. I don't know. And obviously that in itself is just talking in a long time, because that would be something that would come out in 2028 as far as I'm concerned, because there is a pattern, you do notice these things, minus Fire Red and Leaf Green, obviously, because if you look at things and the fact that you couldn't bring Pokemon over from, I guess, Gen 2 to Gen 3, and on top of that, Pokemon Colosseum allowed you to collect Pokemon from Johto region and whatnot, including, of course, the Johto starters. They were basically created so you could complete the Pokedex. Thus, the Fire Red and Leaf Green introduced the National Dex, which has, it seems to have kind of been retired with, I guess, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, because Shigeru Mori, don't know if you've heard this or not, but a translated interview, he's basically said, yeah, you can't really complete the Pokedex because there's so many Pokemon. There's too many. And it's very interesting, because it's very interesting for an actual guy working at Game Freak to concede that point. But yeah, and now I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Yet again. Okay, I can only imagine how much future me is going to have to edit out of this, and how many times he's going to have to undo edit a fuck ton, including adding snippets here, all in the vein of not sounding unnatural, I suppose. But yeah, we're up to like 43 minutes, and yeah, this is definitely gonna take a while. So, I think in 2020, I think that right now, at least during the development of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which, oh boy, I definitely have a video that I want to get into regarding that, but honestly, I'm still waiting on at least the next gen game, if not potentially the Sinnoh remake, I say Sinnoh remakes, Diamond and Pearl remakes, and in 2028, we will get remakes of remastered versions, at least if Let's Go does well enough, which here's the thing, I personally hope it happens, because I'll get onto that train of thought in a second, actually. I want to explain to you why I think why I think it's already in production, why I think it's coming out in 2020. And the reason is, barring Pokemon Colosseum and Fire Red and Leaf Green, you can actually see somewhat of a trend. If you go by the Japanese release dates, Heart Gold and Soul Silver it came out on the 10th anniversary of Gold and Silver by Japanese dates. Now, that would mean nothing, because you go to look up those Japanese dates and go like, well, what about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? Well, you can find the interview, and I believe if I haven't linked it, it's going to be in a later video that I'm definitely working on. But Shigeru Mori, he's already confirmed that on November 21st of 2012 is when he began became director for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. 10th anniversary, folks. And that's why... But that would mean absolutely nothing, because, what was it? Once means nothing, 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern, obviously. Like, something along those lines. Right. 1 time is a mistake, 2 times is a coincidence, and 3 times... Yeah, anyway, stupid. Getting to my point, Let's Go, which is a split remake of Yellow, if you didn't already know. Yeah, I'll be drinking bleach the second that I'm done with this 5-hour-long video, just so you know. And then somehow I'll be resurrected from the dead, I suppose. Anyways, Pokemon Yellow, Japan release specifically, 1999. 1998. You dumb fucking motherfucker. You stupid idiot. I can't believe you I cannot believe that it decided to cut off there of all times. Stupid. Okay. Enough berating myself, because people will start to suspect it's padding or something like that. But yeah. Anyways. And look at the date. 20th anniversary. Either it's a pattern or it's a coincidence on a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that 2016 is when the production of the Diamond and Pearl remakes began, because 2006 was when Diamond and Pearl were released. Now, I have to say, and it's for that reason alone that I'm actually really wondering. It's entirely plausible, but I don't know if any, people, if they're listening to this, are going to think I'm crazy or something like that. Or they're just going to scream no. Or, well, not scream, but maybe scream. Maybe scream. The 2019 game. It could be Diamond and Pearl remakes. I would prefer 2020, but it could be. Because here's how I look at it. The ideal amount of time for a main series Pokemon game, like next-gen game, is 4 years. 3.5 can work, but it really depends. It really, really depends. Because, oh boy, oh fucking boy, X and Y, something, wanted for a very long time when it came to X and Y. In a more ideal world, a slightly ideal world, a slightly more ideal world, 2014, and here's the thing, I can understand why the games came out the way they did. But I think that the 3.5 years could work. It just depends when is it being developed on, because I don't know if I've done it yet, but I can definitely draw a comparison between Diamond and Pearl and X and Y, more so. There are quite a few comparisons between those two. I'll just say that much without rambling too much on that issue in this video. But 4 years for main games. But here's the thing, I think Sun and Moon could have worked if it wasn't for Let's Go. I know that sounds very I'm not gonna as much as I enjoy Let's Go for what it is, for what it's like the way that I can describe Kanto, the original games, and I think Let's Go does this right, is simple but charming. There's not much to it, but do you dislike the adventure that you went on? Maybe, maybe not, but I think that that's really all it has to be. No one expects it to be anything more than that, for the most part. Obviously, I think that there's a lot of untapped potential, and who knows? Maybe of all games, Let's Chase Entei and Raikou may tap into that. But then again, it might not. But it might. Who knows? But even then, I don't think it'll be obviously, it's not going to be exactly how I would want it. But I am very interested in the title, especially because there are different elements to that story that neither Crystal and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I guess Gold and Silver to some extent, have managed to hit. And Let's Chase Entei and Raikou. Am I saying that right? I don't know. But I'm gonna go with Raikou. It's probably... Okay, I say not the last, but it's the most available chance for them to make something along the lines of what I'm envisioning. And for all I know, it won't be anything close to it, which is unfortunate. So where was I before I got on to that digression? Let's go back, shall we? Yeah, there's no fucking way that I'm going to put my full effort into editing this video. No fucking way. I would never get the things that I want to get done, but that's probably why this is not going to be completely viewed by my very, very niche audience that I hope remains niche, honestly. Yeah, anyways, I got into it because of Let's Go. That's what happened. I got into it because of Let's Go. If this video was on the rails at any point in time, it is officially off the rails. Okay, let me retrace my steps, goddammit. I got on to... Yeah, I'm just gonna have to babble like an idiot to retrace my steps here because nothing in my mind is working right. And we're almost up to an hour. Still like 2 minutes to go, but hey, close enough. I got on to Simple But Charming with Kanto, and I was talking about the years that it takes to... Oh, I now remember. Oh, that must be painful on the ear. I'm sorry. The reason I was talking about that is I was talking about... I'm pretty sure I was talking... I might have missed a step, but I'm pretty sure I was talking about Sun and Moon, or something to that effect. Sun and Moon, I think it could have... There wouldn't have had to be any need for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon to be a thing if it wasn't for Let's Go. And you may be asking yourself, why? Well... It's because, in a more ideal world, maybe I'm getting back onto another old track right there, what Ultra Sun and Moon could have been would come out in 2018. But of course it couldn't, because 2018 was the 20th anniversary for Pokemon Yellow. So, as a result, like, if you've played Sun and Moon, when you get to Pony Island, and even arguably a little... like, somewhere in the Aether Foundation, to some degree. Like, it just seems like something happened. And I'm not sure what. But I think it was at that point where they wanted to have... They were setting up for a game with Necrozma in it, basically. But, unlike with Platinum, which did take 2 years to make, it only got 1 year, like Crystal. And that's not really a knock on Crystal, but because the things that were added in Crystal, for better or worse, Johto's, like, I got into, my first adventure in Johto was Crystal. I might have, like, played part of someone else's Gold, like a cousin of mine's Gold, but, like, he'd already been in the Pokemon League, and for the most part, I was in Kanto's Indigo Plateau or something to that effect. The best I could say, maybe, is I traveled to Mount Silver or something along those lines, and that's technically in Johto. But other than that, Crystal was my first game when it came to traveling the Johto region. And so I can further appreciate the fact that Johto seems just so underdeveloped, and in so many fucking ways, and on top of that. And who knows? Because it was hard enough to get Kanto and Johto onto the same cartridge. And I still say it's impressive for what it was, but you just look at all of the things that was on, what was it, the NES or something to that effect? NES or the Super Nintendo or something like that. That's what the Gold Space Tech demo was on, I believe. And so many things were cut. It was just a massive world that I had to look at the map to figure out why on earth people were saying it was based on the entirety of Japan. But sure enough, when I saw the map, it was like, oh, yep, you're completely correct. And there are definitely some things that were really interesting to see, and it's kind of a shame that some of it didn't see the light of day. Like, Daisy Oak is the new professor, or at least the professor of the, of I guess what you would call Pallet Town. Giovanni was actually going to be part of what was going on, unless he was supposed to be an imposter. And on top of that, potentially there was an Imposter Oak going on. Honestly, it didn't look like Imposter Oak, but so many people said Imposter Oak, and that would have been interesting as well, and it's not like that is out of the question. It wasn't out of the question. But obviously, a bunch of things didn't make the cut, and it is what it is, with all of its flaws, and with all of its charm as well. But Crystal made Johto seem like it was more than just an extension of Kanto, which effectively Johto is, but, like, the people of real Kanto and Kansai, which Johto is based off of, their cultures are completely different. Like, Goldenrod isn't, like, okay, this is the part where I make myself look like a complete dumbass, because I'm gonna guess this, based on my very, very faulty memory. But as I understand it, Tokyo is the capital of Kanto, Kanto, something like that. Yeah, Kanto. It is Kanto, right? Big, massive city. Saffron City and Celadon City are broken up of Tokyo, supposedly. Goldenrod City is not the main capital. Osaka, as I understand it, is not the main capital of Kansai. Kyoto is. Ecruteak is based on Kyoto. And so, when you go to all of these different locations, specifically Ecruteak, and you do so after playing Crystal or Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you really see how kind of barren and broken down and so on and so forth that Johto was, at least until Crystal came along. And it connected the Beast Trio to Ho-Oh. It connected Lugia to Ecruteak, and it connected, I guess you would say, it connected Ecruteak to the ruins of Alph. Going by those years, and the fact that especially because you need Ho-Oh to enter one of those chambers, and on top of that, they connected as an extension, they connected the unknown to Ho-Oh, and of course the people of Ecruteak. Like, I don't think you'll find this on Bulbapedia, but go look through a playthrough of Gold and Silver, get to Morty, and notice he's not clearly talking about Ho-Oh. He's talking specifically about legendary Pokemon. They don't talk about any specific legendary Pokemon in Ecruteak. They talk about the vague idea of legendary Pokemon because well, that's kind of what the legendary birds were in Kanto. The closest that you, like, they were in these mostly suitable locations, including an abandoned power plant, the Seafoam Islands, and Victory Road, which isn't exactly suitable as Mount Ember, but hey, that's just my opinion on the matter. But yeah, and, like, it's kind of unfortunate because I was playing Let's Go. I finished, like, the main game and everything and so on and so forth. And I remember there was one of the binoculars. You could look through multiple binoculars. Obviously you can look through multiple binoculars, but as far as I'm aware, that those were completely demolished or whatever, which is unfortunate. But one of them, you'd look into it and you could see what was clearly supposed to be Articuno, but it got added to your Pokedex. That doesn't happen in Let's Go, for better or worse. And I think either it's mentioned how it was flying to a completely different island, or in the next set of binoculars, and it would mention the two islands, which are clearly the Seafoam Islands, or the Twin Islands, because they once used to be part of each other. That's why they were supposed... You can look up the lore, honestly, but because I don't want to waste any more time than I absolutely need to, I suppose, or absolutely will, because I don't know. But this was like a hint in the original games to where this bird was, and when you get to the Seafoam Islands, you keep that in the back of your head, and you're doing this puzzle to get all the way down, and then all of a sudden you see this bird looking thing, because it was, you definitely see this bird looking thing, and you go, like, as far as you're aware, that's a Spearow or something like that, and then you talk to it. Obviously you examine it or something to that effect, and holy shit, it's that bird that you saw in the pattern. It's like, it was very interesting that for that one specifically, because with Victory Road, you're more or less likely to find Moltres on the way to the Pokemon Lake, or the Indigo Plateau, I guess, specifically. There's a very good chance that might happen. If you went into the abandoned power plant, it's like, sure, it's a bit of a maze, but, like, there's not much for puzzles or anything like that. You're just exploring. But then you get to the Seafoam Islands, and it's like, there's 4 floors. The first floor, the bottom first floor, the second bottom floor, and the third bottom floor. And you have to figure out that, you need strength in order to move these blocks, in order to stop the overflowing tides. Therefore, you can get to Articuno. But yeah, it's like, coming off of that, the only exception to that was probably Mewtwo. And when I say probably, I mean definitely Mewtwo. Mewtwo was created on a secluded island and wasn't mentioned at any point. And the only thing that it was connected to was obviously Mr. Fuji, because I'm going to do a video of this at some point, because Let's Go is still doing this, and I don't know why. But the localization is almost insistent upon the idea that Dr. Fuji was not making Mewtwo alone. And if you knew that it was making... that he was making Mewtwo on his own, suddenly it might make some sense why the fuck the Mewtwo of the games is so fucking violent. But no, they don't want to do that for some reason. I don't know why. It's ridiculous. But I'll do a video about that some year. So look forward to that if you've gone to this point. But yeah, so going off of that, there's probably 2 pins that I'm still trying to relocate as I go through this. But going off of that, and here's the thing, let's go where you would, Bill has actually hunted for the legendary birds. I won't say anything more than that. But it completely replaces the dex entries, or at least the data that you could upload into your Pokedex on Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon. Absolutely fitting, minus Vaporeon, I suppose. But the hint to go into Cerulean Cave, especially if you completely forgot it exists at that point, it's on Cinnabar Island, and you go to one of the, you read one of the emails of the PCs, and it mentions that they're currently looking into the existence of the legendary birds. Now, obviously none of them are there, but guess what is? For those who really don't know, you can just look up Cerulean Cave, or something along those lines, and you'll just feel like an idiot for a few seconds. Because I really think it's obvious. I'm sorry, but I really think it's obvious. And yeah. So anyways, so they kind of tried to do the same thing that they did with the birds, except instead of having them in fixed locations, they were just roaming Pokemon. And honestly, I really hope that, I'm still calling it, let's chase Entei and Raikou, if it exists, first and foremost. Still not convinced it is. Anyways. That by being centered on, we won't have to find this, that we won't have to worry about them running away, basically. Because, like, well, I mean, now that I say that and I look at how the legendary birds and Snorlax and Electro, the battles between them last only 5 minutes, and then you can try and catch them. If it's not going to be as bad, but then I'm thinking to myself, oh, it would just suck if you had to roam around, try and predict where this Pokemon is going to be on the map, so that you can encounter it. And then you'd have to battle it every single time. Yeah, you have 5 minutes to do that. Yeah, that's a thing in Let's Go. You have to beat it in 5 minutes or it runs away. And after you've beaten it, then you can try and catch it. And if you take too long, you'll have to try again in a location that that isn't fixed. Like, and honestly, based on Let's Go, there's probably going to be multiple Raikou, Entei, and Suicune and all that, just for the sake of getting the right one with the right nature and the right IVs and all that. Obviously, this goes to show just how little I've really thought about this, that this is now coming to me. So, I'm hoping that Entei, Raikou, and Suicune are for the most part just in these fixed locations, or something like that. Like, Entei is either probably at the Tin Tower, and Raikou is at the Whirl Islands or something like that. And then Suicune can just be encountered at the Cerulean Cape like it is in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I see no problem with that. And then once, obviously beyond that is just trying to figure out where the other, how you would get the other one, honestly. Or if you need the other one. I think you, like, because in Crystal, I didn't know this for the longest time, and I don't think I've ever really, like, I don't think I have it in me to try saying my Crystal version hasn't been corrupted or something like that. But you have to, I don't know if you have to catch them, but you at least have to defeat all 3 beasts before you can get the Rainbow Wing and encounter Ho-Oh. But with Lugia, you get the wing from the old man, Pewter City. So that will be interesting, what they choose to incorporate and change and so on and so forth for those games if they ever become a thing. Which I'd say, if they are, 2021. Sabrina did say 3 years later on. But not only that, like, for if we're talking about red and green and gold and silver, it really is 3 years later. So it's entirely plausible even that 2021 will be when those games come out. And I think that this will be... I'm going to put a pin in this because there is a point I do want to get to. At the detriment of obviously forgetting where the fucking pin is, but hey, I'm gonna whatever. I'm over an hour, about an hour and 30 minutes by almost 4 minutes. So as long as I don't draw a blank in the next 34 minutes, I'm gonna keep going. But anyways, so okay, let's keep in mind I put the pin in why I hope Let's Go does well. And I did that. Oh, come on.